allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Ask the members to please introduce themselves, starting my far right.
John Smith, Board of Finance.
Orlando Kelfi, Board of Finance.
Calvin Brown, City Council.
Ron Burns, Board of Finance.
Anthony D'Amato, City Council.
Jody Zills-Gagnon, City Council.
Cheryl Tebow, Board of Finance.
Dave Gillespie, City Council.
Dave Mills, City Council.
Mary Fortier, City Council.
Jay Carey, Board of Finance.
Town Clerk Therese Pack.
Assistant Dawn Labella.
And I'm Mayor Kit Conti. Item number 1.
Approval of minutes of the regular joint board meeting on October 11th, 2016.
Move approval.
Second.
Motion made, seconded. Discussion. Hearing none, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed, motion passes. Item number 2.
Item number 2 is the consent calendar, and there are 8 items. Item 2A is to transfer $12,000 within the capital non-recurring fund for revaluation. 2B is to make an additional appropriation of $234,655 within the special grants and donations fund for code enforcement. 2C is to transfer $107,500 within the community development block grant fund for Startup Bristol. 2D is to transfer $11,700 within the sewer operating and assessment fund for the Middle Street Pump Station project. 2E is to transfer $14,500 within the Public Works operating budget. For the purchase of capital outlay items, item 2F is to make an additional appropriation of $65,000 within the capital projects fund funded by contributions. 2G, which actually doesn't need to be on because it's a transfer of $2,200, it doesn't need joint board approval. It is a transfer of $2,200 within the special grants and donations fund, and later I'll ask for someone to make a motion to have that removed. And then 2H is to make an additional appropriation of $106 within the special grants and donations fund funded by donations to assist youth and families.
A motion to remove item G.
Move it.
Second.
Motion made, seconded. Discussion. Hearing none, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed, motion passes. Motion to approve items A through F and H.
Motion to approve.
Second.
Motion made, seconded. Discussion. Hearing none, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed, motion passes. Item number 3.
To transfer $11,475 from the general fund contingency account to operating transfers out special revenue.
Move approval.
Second.
Motion made, seconded. Discussion. Hearing none, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed, motion passes. Item number 4.
To make an additional appropriation of $22,950 within the special grants and donations fund funded by a grant of $11,475 and a transfer in of $11,475 for the 2016 U.S. Department of Justice Bulletproof Vest Partnership Grant.
Move approval.
Second.
Motion made, seconded. Discussion. Hearing none, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed, motion passes. Item number 5.
To approve carryovers from fiscal year 2015-2016 to fiscal year 2016-2017, totaling $56,560 within the general fund.
Move it.
Second.
Motion made, seconded. Discussion. Hearing none, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed, motion passes. Item number 6.
To make an additional appropriation of $2,500,000 within the general fund as of June 30th, 2016.
Motion to approve.
Second.
Motion made, seconded. Discussion. Hearing none, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed, motion passes. Item number 7.
To make an additional appropriation of $1 million within the equipment building sinking fund and $1 million within the community development block grant fund as of June 30th, 2016.
Move approval.
Second.
Motion made, seconded. Discussion. Hearing none, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed, motion passes. Item number 8.
To transfer $75,529,891 within the capital projects fund as of June 30th, 2016.
Motion to approve.
Second.
Motion made, seconded. Discussion. Hearing none, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed, motion passes. Item number 9.
To make an additional appropriation of $114,459 within the capital projects fund as of June 30th, 2016.
Move approval.
Second.
Motion made, seconded. Discussion. Hearing none, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed, motion passes. Item number 10.
To decrease appropriations by $17,917,505 within the capital projects fund as of June 30th, 2016.
Move it.
Second.
Motion made, seconded. Discussion. Hearing none, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed, motion passes. Item number 11.
To transfer $25,188 from the general fund contingency account for St. Vincent de Paul.
Move approval.
Second.
Motion made, seconded. Discussion. Hearing none, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed, motion passes. Item number 12.
The monthly revenue and expense report from the controller.
Good evening, everyone. Short report today, not like the prior month. We Just a couple items to bring you up to date. Auditors are in full swing. We've got them in until mid-December. Everything's going along fine. We're somewhat ahead of schedule. We have weekly telephone conferences with partner in charge. We have one tomorrow. And tomorrow at 9 o'clock is the mayor's budget kickoff meeting. He took the advice of several councilors that wanted a earlier start to the budget process, so that is going to take place. We'll have forms going out tomorrow. I know Cheryl's going to be there for her comments along with the mayors, and I have just a few. It's no surprise to you that it's going to be probably a little bit more difficult year than it was in the prior year, and that was difficult, and that's because of the state ongoing deficit situation, and excuse me, we're going to have some new costs in debt service, issuing the $30 million of the $60 million that we have outstanding, so we're going to delay principal, but there'll probably be somewhere in the neighborhood of $700,000 to $800,000 in interest that must be paid, so we can delay principal, and that's a situation. We also have another situation I just want to highlight a little bit to you, is that we received our what's called our GASB 6768 reports, what has to do with amounts that we contribute into the pension plans. There's been some significant actuarial changes that have taken place and some new standards that will be reported nationwide. And part of this process is that our police and fire are continuing to be well funded, but the city is hovering around 100% funded, where it was at a high of 122. There is a recommendation to put funding to bump that back up. And that obviously has an effect on next year's budget to the tune of several $100,000. I'm going to recommend that we do that. We are now a AAA community with a split rating, and we don't want to lose that possibility of picking up the AAA on S&P and Moody's. So we'll continue to do that. We also are going to continue to get this 15-year plan on the other post-employment benefits they call OPEB. So I'm going to recommend to the boards that you can continue with that plan. And the other thing I keep on reminding is that in the Board of Ed, I do this at the Finance Committee of their committee, is that we've got a 2.5% state cap on expenditure increases, appropriation increases. There's a couple items that are exempt, the debt service that I just mentioned, some capital projects, and special education. John, do you have a question? I see.
Yeah, just through the mayor, what, police and fire funded at what?
Well, fire is like over 200%. Police is about 170 to 180. They're doing fine.
Okay.
City is taking a hit. We've had a lot of retirees
Yeah.
and a lot of expenses as far as that's concerned. So once again, the budget kickoff. Probably just a little bit of news. I sat on the panel for the business manager, and we are through the interview process as far as the panel that was put together. Now we have two viable candidates that are going to go forward to the Personnel Committee of the Board of Education, and in my opinion, both candidates are excellent. Bristol's going to be well served by whomever they choose, so it's a very positive thing that's going to take place.
I just want to share that the actuarial report that Glenn referenced was presented to the retirement board about 2 months ago with their recommendations that the full retirement board had advocated that it was wise to take. And so it's important that we try to budget those changes into this budget this year. If anybody needs a copy of that report, I'm sure we could make one available.
Yes, that's true. So we're doing incremental changes, dropping the expected interest rate down in tenths, going, I think it was from 7.5 to 7.25. Yeah, I think that was it. But it would be way too expensive to drop 1/4 of a point when your expectations of income get lower. There's an inverse effect that your contributions have to be higher. So it was too much of a hit, in my opinion, to drop 1/4 of a point. So we're dropping 1/10 of a point. We'll do that for the next several years until hopefully the economy picks up.
Any other questions?
Just, when's the last time we made a contribution? Other than the cafeteria sign?
Well, yeah, the cafeteria's been consistent. I think we made a contribution. Did we make a contribution last year? I forgot.
Yes,
Yes.
so it was 44,000 was.
Yeah, it was was on the Board of Ed side.
Yeah.
And we did not, we should have contributed on our side, but we decided not to for
Right.
some savings. That's right, John. So what the Board of Ed had 44,000,
Right.
and this year, we put the amount that the actuary says something to the neighborhood, I believe was 300 and
About 300 some odd thousand.
343, and I'll be approaching the Board of Finance to take that out of maybe contingency or somewhere else to make sure that we fully fund it, because we only funded 44,000 on the Board of Ed side. We did 0 for the current budget, and then the actuarial numbers came in actually advanced ones today, and the recommendation after a lengthy conversation with our actuaries, you want to keep that AAA, you better fully fund it, because that's what the rating agency is going to look at. We gave it a AAA as it's not a one-time shot, and then you say forget all policy. So we're going to make a recommendation. You'll be seeing that come before next month. And we haven't heard back on the separating the special education costs. There seems to be an alignment for this at this time. Myself and Mike Dieter presented the report to the Finance Committee of the Board of Education. There was 20% in the first couple months, and now it's only 25%. So it went up by 5%. It's kind of leveled off, which is good news in special education. We're watching it very closely.
Mayor, through the chair, I think it's important to note, Glenn, that the 10 basis points change in the expected return that's being phased in over the next few years was approved unanimously by the retirement board, but is also approved by our actuaries.
That's correct.
As good practice.
Excellent practice, and that's going to be, I touted that when we got the AAA with Fitch, and our fund balance, the auditors are in, but Robin has done an excellent job of finding out what the general fund balance is going to be, and it will continue to be at 15% based on last year, on the current budget we're on. So that, as a rising budget, and we still got it at 15%, that's going to be another positive in our pocket. So we really need to keep things going. These contributions into OPEB and funding the 100% for the pension plan, those are all things that we're going to tout to them in April when they come up here, and I'm pretty confident we're going to do very well with that. Anything else?
Just one.
Good.
Orlando Valley. No, I yield to you.
So I actually have a question about the attorney expenditures, but if you've got other
Just a comment on
questions on this.
just a pension fund. We still should note that we're probably one of the few communities around that
Without
our
question.
pension funds are not underwater. So
Yeah, without question. Yeah, we went to a conference yesterday, Robin and I, and one of the things that Moody's has a new thing is that if you're at 100% funded, it's called treading water, and they do an analysis that says, what's the probability of you going below 100%, and then it kicks in a analysis that when will you run out of money. That doesn't happen for police and fire, but if you're at 100%, this analysis that Moody's has kicks in and says, okay, will you drop below 100? Yes or no? Yes, you got a problem. And then they analyze it further, and it requires a report that says you will run out of money by 2038, something like that. Something may look crazy, but I'm going to make sure that we're going to be at 101. So
that won't be here, so that's okay.
join the club. At any rate, Mary, I saw that you were looking at.
Yes, I did have an attorney's fees question. I don't know if Orlando is next, though.
Go ahead, Mary. Ladies first.
I do appreciate the updated attorney fee report, and I just wanted to sort of check in that we were at about $52,000 last time for the yearly total for the investigations that have happened, and this newest monthly addition added about 23 something, so we're over 75,000. Is that correct? I just want to make sure I'm not
Yes, that's right.
misstating that. Okay. And I had one more question about the attorney's fees. I know that there had been an action filed by Mr. Camerari, one of our landlords that we didn't have a great relationship with. And the judicial website shows Howden Ludorf representing us there, but I don't see any attorney's fees for Howden Ludorf. Is that perhaps because our insurance company has hired Howden Ludorf and we're not actually paying them? I just don't know
I wouldn't know the answer.
how that works.
Perhaps,
I think so.
yeah, so it was the insurance company hired.
Okay.
That's what he believes.
That makes sense.
Yeah, it
Thank you.
does.
That's fine for me, Orlando.
All right, so I guess it's an education for me in terms of the staffing for corporate counsel. If you look at, one of the earlier pages, you have some charges from the Board of Ed and the Bristol Burlington Health District. And so, two questions there. Do we share the cost with the BPHD? I'm assuming that Burlington has some partnership with us that they may offset part of that pay? And if so, how do we annotate that?
I don't think so. That was for labor negotiations, and
That's their own.
that's their own charge. That's built into their own budget. So that is not part of us. We don't contribute in any way. They're their own entity.
All right, but they're listed as fees on here for us.
Well, we just listed all the fees that we
Okay.
cut the check, but it's
Okay.
charged to their budget.
And then the Board of Ed. So does the Board of Ed use your offices, or do they have their own separate firms as well? When it's outside, your purview?
In general, they have their own counsel handling, matters. There are things that we will deal with, for example, contract litigation. You'll probably see some things popping up about Green Hill School, for example, those kinds of things, Commissioner.
All right, and then lastly, there are FOIA and FOIC annotations, which I assume are both the same, right? Freedom of Information requests?
I don't really know. I didn't prepare that report, but I'm assuming they're both identical.
Yeah.
It probably was just the way they locked it in.
So the question to the Freedom of Information then, anytime that someone makes a request through the Freedom of Information, is your office involved in doing some type of work to investigate it and to determine whether we are in compliance or whether we should have a hearing on it?
Most matters we're involved in. Not all matters. If we deem that there's a conflict of some type, for example, there was a FOI complaint by somebody in city government against, the Board of Finance, let's say. We might establish that that's a conflict since we have both sides of the shop, so we might refer that matter out. But in general, we take the first look at everything that comes in, and then to the extent that we need to ship it out, we do that.
Thank you.
Any other questions? Thank you, Glenn. Item number 13, any other business? Hearing none, motion to adjourn. Motion made second, discussion. Hearing none, all in favor? Aye. Opposed, motion passes. Council meeting will start in 5 minutes.